Bum, bum, bum. So, hi everyone. This is the Drupal usability meeting for July 2nd, 2019. And we have an issue from Benji and then an issue from Adam. Let's start with Benji this time.
Oh, I wasn't expecting to go first. Let me share my screen.
It's about time now.
There we go. So I'm talking about issue 2458127. Show field or field storage summary instead of field type, field listings. And this is something that Marcos kind of brought to our attention, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years ago. And it's been in the back of my mind for a long time, and I tried to keep the reviewer role, but ended up submitting a patch myself. So the point is that on the field settings page, or the manage fields page of a content type, and here I'm using the Umami installation profile, for example. So we have this column that's really not as useful as it might be. Namely field type. Notice each of these is a link, and that's a link to the storage settings, which duplicates a link that's already available in the drop button under the operations column. And then when it's an entity reference, it doesn't tell us what kind of reference it is. And because file and image fields are implemented as a sort of kind of entity reference fields, there's some information we could add to those for free. So the proposal in this issue is to change that around, so make it not a link because that's redundant. And when it is an entity reference, say what it's a reference to. Is it a taxonomy term, or is it content? Or is it a user entity, or a file, or what have you? And it's implemented in a way that the field type plugin gets to decide what information to show here. So we've implemented as a default just what used to be there, the label of the field type. And for the entity reference type, we've overridden it to show this additional information. So I rewrote the proposed resolution describing what it does. Notice that usability review is one of the remaining tasks. We have some screenshots here of what it used to look like at the top and what it does look like now. And it also updates the field list page, showing the same information in a brand new additional column. And it introduces all sorts of API changes, which means that once it passes UI review, there's still a long way to go. But that's the state of the patch as it is now. Any comments?
Yeah, that looks clean and quite helpful. I can't think of one single time I've ever clicked on the set and storage link in the column, so I can't think of any objections. I just wonder, do we know if the API additions are going to be implemented in the sort of base classes so that there's no breaking backwards compatibility in terms of
they have to be in order for that. Yeah.
They are implemented in field item base, and also in field type plugin manager. I don't think that's an absolute guarantee of not breaking backwards compatibility, but it's a helpful step, and it's because of those API additions that we tagged it for framework manager review.
Okay, great.
I mean, I saw this, Benji showed me this patch at D4D last week, designed for Drupal, and I thought it was great. I'm definitely +1 on the idea. I called out the API changes just because I knew those would potentially be contentious, but I think if a framework manager signs off, I'm satisfied, personally.
And I think that the reason Marcos was looking at this, as I said, 1.5 or 2 years ago, is that it would also be helpful for the media module. So, if this goes in, then it would be a pretty easy step for the media module to implement the new methods and give whatever information is helpful for media fields.
Yeah, agreed.
I have one question.
Yeah.
For example, if you have, so you are kind of using as a label entity reference, and then as a description, you're using, and in this case, you're using referenced entity type, whatever, taxonomy, media, or whatever. For example, for the body field, it's using, well, I don't see the body here, but one of the screenshot has like text from field type text, and between parentheses, there's the formatted long with summary. Why is this, yeah, like this one, for example, why shouldn't we move this complementary info below like we are using the other one? I don't say it has to be done here in this issue, but that's good. That's what would make sense.
I think that my guess is precisely just because it's out of scope in this issue, but this issue would introduce the API changes that would make exactly that possible to do in follow-up issues. I think the whole reason we have these bizarre labels like text formatted long is precisely because we didn't have this functionality in core before. So you had to kind of squeeze all the information into this one little label.
Okay.
That's my guess.
Okay. Another question is, we're kind of adding a label here, or like saying what are we talking about? For example, references, entity type, colon. I mean, we are kind of adding a label on this description, and probably we should, I don't know, think about which other labels we should add for formatted or long, or all this kind of information that could come here.
Yeah, I think that basically comes down to the same thing that Adam said. So comparing to a site without the patch, we haven't changed the text. We've made it not a link anymore, but it used to say text formatted long. It still says text formatted long. And then if this patch goes in, then the follow-up issue could implement the new methods in the text module, and it could get that information on the second line. And then I'm sorry, I forgot what exactly you were asking about.
Yeah, no, mainly if we could define that exact pattern, like label and value, like the one that we're seeing right now for entity reference below it. If it would be possible to do something like that, or it's just a plain text that is added by whatever model is adding it.
So the idea is like remove that additional label that says referenced entity type?
So the first question is, why do we have it here? I'm assuming it's because it's more, you can understand better what it's saying. And if we are adding it here, I would expect that for all the others. And because I don't know how this text is placed here, I'm not sure if all the other modules will be able to actually follow the same pattern.
Maybe
yeah, that's the point. They'll be able to follow that pattern, but we can't have one patch to say the field UI module that knows about entity references and knows about text and knows about every other field type. It has to be implemented by the field type. And what this patch does is it provides the APIs so that the field types can supply that information. And they can supply, I think, any render element they want. So they can put in an icon, they could go crazy, but mostly they would just give some text like this, maybe.
Okay.
Just to provide a little bit of technical context there, is that where you see it says text formatted long, that is actually a separate, technically speaking, a separate field type and a separate sort of storage to just plain text without any formatting long. So that's probably why it is by default like that, because there are separate field types under the hood for that. But yeah, and I'm not sure, given the fact that they're from a technical level, they're actually separate. They're separate field types. If you'd want to take the information out of the primary label and put it below, because the way I see this is the first line is like the name of the field storage or the field type, and below that is additional information that that particular field type is providing. So there's potential, I don't know, maybe could result in a confusion there, because you would potentially have 3 different separate field types, all named text, displaying the same information on the first line, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, so just my concern is that one field type actually says for entity reference, the format is like label plus value, and another one just is a bunch of works, one after another with a comma or something like that. And another is, I don't know, with caps, and another, I don't know, that's my concern, not about how is it structured or something like that. I believe that the patch is properly doing this.
Well, we provide the API, and then it's up to the modules not to go too crazy when they implement it.
It's a lot of trust right there. I can see some contributing modules doing some very interesting stuff there, if I have to say.
Well, that's exactly why the framework manager should come in and predict the scary things.
Yeah, so these are the same labels when you add a new field, or by default getting the same label that shows up on the field.
Those are all separate field types under the hood, so separate classes and probably separate widgets and formatters.
Okay, I'm totally fine with it. With this, just one more question. The decision about removing the link was just because it was duplicated, or so that's the reason?
Yeah, and well, as Aaron said, he never clicked on it. It also sort of gives it more, makes it too easy to click on that link. You know, there's a good reason that it's second under here. You don't go to it very often, and providing it as a separate link in the separate column just sort of invites people to click on it when that's less common than the edit link that they normally want.
Yeah, and in theory, like, you pretty much never really need to go to the storage settings, because once a field has content, you can't really change anything in the storage settings, generally speaking. So the link itself is kind of redundant almost, from my perspective.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was wondering if there was any kind of concern or something was said something about that, or it just came from our initiative, not some user questions or whatever.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know. Maybe I should review the earlier comments on this issue. I'm not sure when it was decided to change that, remove the link. I think it was just as long as we're messing with this, let's do it. But that's certainly within the scope of the usability meeting, whether or not it's a good idea, and it would be easy enough to undo.
I'm not really concerned about removing it because we already have it on the right. That's for sure. The current behavior about going to the storage instead of going to the edit form, which is actually why someone will click here, or like I think it was Aaron saying that it's not the place that most of the people is going to use. So yeah, if something else than that was the appropriate answer, would then be just keeping it like that. So yeah, I mean, to this, I'm okay with this too. I was just wondering where it came from.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. It makes sense to remove the link. I was a bit puzzled by the boldness of it because it highlights the field type a lot more than anything else. But since you have the other metadata about the field type that's secondary for certain field types, at least, it makes sense to bold it, I guess.
I think the decision to use bold was made after the last time that we discussed it at the usability meeting. And if you think that's too much emphasis, I guess the alternative is to make the label in regular font and use italics for the line underneath it.
Can we go to the like the widget settings or formatter settings just to see what the precedent is there? Because
So that would be form display.
yeah, or either form display or manage display, because they do something similar where they have the summary.
So yeah, that's exactly the way I would do that, or I would think that for Claro, I would use another font size because
So,
the most important one is the label of the field, actually, not the type of field. And I would use a regular font size and then a smaller one, but I'm not really sure about 7 how it handles it. But if I was going to design this for Claro, I wouldn't use bold. So my question would be, is that like hardcore, the bold here?
that's a good question.
Because we won't want that for Claro for sure. Maybe
yeah, it looks like we're actually using bold elements rather than any CSS.
maybe it's on a template or it's on the render, probably.
That a B tag, that should be strong if they're going to go with bold.
Yeah, that's one thing I didn't change about the patch. It actually uses inline templates, which is something I haven't seen before. So let's see. Current patch.
That's placing that. The commit is adding that on the. It's not using a template at all. It's just hard coding it. It's at the beginning of the last patch.
Yeah, I'm looking at same thing, I think.
Oh, that's not what I'm looking at. Fields. Maybe at the end of the, or at the beginning, or at the end. It should be at the beginning.
The beginning of the patch.
Yeah, just like you're there. Public state field setting summary. So yeah, you have here the return, the B type, and definition. Just yeah, right here.
Yes. Right.
So yeah, I will probably try to avoid adding markup, or at least something like that on the patch itself, or at least not in here, because then any other theme can actually do anything to that.
Yeah, would it be worth using a? I'm just thinking, would it be worth using a twig file instead to, because then the theme could override it.
Yeah, definitely. If it was possible to do something like that, I'm not sure if we are over engineering something like this, but I don't know. That's a really good point that Gabor made here. If we are using the same font size, it's weird that the type of field is the most important thing on the table.
So
Great.
really what we'd be using is a template with some CSS classes, and then the admin team can style them however the admin team wants to.
That would be ideal.
Yeah, it's probably less complicated than adding a twig template, a new twig template.
I was thinking do it with the twig template and add CSS classes in the twig template. Isn't that the usual way to handle it?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking it was yeah, I don't know what to think.
So is that something you would want to see before this patch goes in, or could that be postponed to a follow-up? You want to see it before this patch goes in?
Yeah, this definitely will not
Okay.
continue with the bold tag.
Okay.
That's for sure.
I'm sure I can make that happen.
That would be great. Thanks.
Cool. So we're about half time. Should we take a look at the bug that I got? Just because it's probably going to be kind of contentious.
Sure.
All right, let me share my screen here. Can I share my screen? I can share my screen. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So you've all seen the media library, so I don't have to explain that. Basically what I have here is I've created a new media field on the article content type, and it's using the media library. And this particular field only allows you to choose one thing to add to the field. So let me open the media library. As you can see, I have 3 things here. If I choose one, the other 2 are grayed out. This is all behavior we already know. And if I say insert selected, it'll just go in there and it'll remove the add media button because the maximum number of items have been selected. So here is how this becomes a bug. If I've selected that, and then I go and add another thing. I don't know, is there something funny? Hey, it's another sloth. And then I say save and select. Now they're both selected and 2 of 1 items are selected. And I can insert both of them, or maybe I can't, but either way, that's pretty broken. And yeah, it's okay. Well, there you go. I guess it's complaining at me now. So this is all kind of shitty. The question that we are having here is, what is the appropriate thing to do from a UX standpoint? There's a few possibilities. So right now, it's like, should we prevent people from adding another file in some way right here? should we not prevent it, but just like throw an error message if I try to upload another one? Should we allow people to add more, and then just not select it on the way back, just preserve only the thing that they had selected before and gray out everything else? That's the real question here. And I'm not really certain what the right solution is. So I thought I would throw open the bike shed and see what you all thought.
So the first thing I thought of when you're uploading a new image, I would think that that would be the one that would stay selected. If that would be the if you wanted to have that kind of flow. Like if you wanted to keep that add file, not gray it out or whatever, if you can only choose one, if you're able to upload another file, I would think that when it comes back, only that one would be selected and nothing else would be. That's kind of what I would assume.
So it would blow away your previous selection, basically.
Yeah, that's what I would figure. If you're going through all that trouble to upload a new file, I would maybe make the assumption that you'd want that one selected.
That you're going to select that. But I guess the only place that falls apart is if this field could take, say, 3 items, and you chose 3, and then you upload 1. Which one of the previously selected 3 do you knock out? It's hard to determine intent that way. It's more obvious.
Then maybe not have the add file thing displayed or shown if you have 3 things. I don't know. It's hard. Yeah, it's hard. It's a hard thing to know what to do.
That's what I was thinking too. It's like, because we could easily hide the thing if I select my 1 of 1 and now I can't add more. But then I feel like that would confuse the hell out of users, because it's like, what did I just do? I broke it.
And what if you actually can upload up to 5 and then suddenly you are 4 and you still have that and you want to upload 2 more? I don't know. It could be like that. Anyway, I think that the solution for what Aubrey was saying is that you should actually, the moment that you've selected more items than the ones you actually are able to add, you should actually you should then be able to press the insert, and you should have a message, a warning message or something like that, saying that you've actually reached the limit and you are over it, and you should unselect one of them.
We could do that where it won't let you insert, it'll validate the number of things you're trying to insert. The problem is then that kind of breaks our nice graying out here. It's not really clear what to do. So we could potentially remove the graying out stuff and just not do that anymore. I don't know. Is that something we would want to do?
Well, I was going to say, I was actually thinking the exact same as Christina, but I wonder on the graying out, is that only there because you can only select 1 item, or does it always gray out when you select?
No, so in this particular field is configured to only allow you to choose 1 thing. And when you've selected the maximum number of things that the field is going to allow you to do, the rest of them get grayed out.
Ah, okay.
So I would say that the add file section is logically equivalent to all of these things that are grayed out. And I would disable the add file once you've reached the limit, and add some sort of text saying that you can't add any more and can't add a new file until you deselect something.
But I see his concern, because what if you actually just write that where we have right in front of us? If actually he select one, all this top or header part for adding a file will disappear. So we either end up with a white space or a lot of stuff moving up and down.
Yeah,
So don't make it disappear. Just disable it, like the others.
Well, the only problem with that
right.
actually raises an issue, though, Benji. So the thing is, if we disable it, we could disable the upload field, but that would look different on different browsers, and it wouldn't necessarily be obvious what happens. So it's totally possible that if we disable this thing and then someone goes to click it and nothing happens, they're just clicking on it. It's like, wait, what's happening? My mouse is broken, because it's a silent thing. It doesn't. There would be no. It would have to inform you, I think, in some way that you've selected the maximum. You can't do anything else now until you deselect. So I don't know.
Definitely add information explaining why.
Okay.
Why it's
Hey, Adam,
disabled.
I forget. Can you upload more than one file at the same time?
On this particular one, because of the way the field is configured, I think it only allows one. But if I configured it to allow more, I believe that you could. So
Like, say if you have it set.
Yeah.
So if you have it set to only have like 3 items, this might be a whole different issue. But what if you you can put 3 images on there, and you already have 3 in there, but you have 1 selected. But then if you upload like 5. What does it,
yeah,
what does it do?
it actually, I'm pretty sure it actually just overflows it.
Yeah.
So let's see what happens here. I can select, okay, maximum of 3. That's cool. I'm glad it validates because I thought it didn't.
Yeah, I was thinking about that as well. I was like, what if you?
But here's the thing that's a problem. So I just selected 1 and I uploaded 3. The field only allows 3 things. So I'm still going to overflow it. I think I'm going to actually have that problem. Yeah, if I save and select, then yeah, I have 4 selections and 4 of 3 are selected. So it's possible, basically by uploading, it's always possible to, get where you shouldn't be into an overflow state.
I kind of feel like, and this might be controversial as well, but I feel like we need to solve this at the last possible point. So from what I feel like is that the upload field should not limit you to in your ability to upload. You should be able to upload as many as you want, as many files, because maybe you just happen to be also have the media library open and you want to upload a bunch of stuff. But then what we should do is I would be for the idea of once you've reached the maximum amount of files, disabling the button that inserts the selection, because I feel like we're going to have to do that to solve this problem effectively. But I feel like if we keep the limit that on the add new file upload, it's just going to create a whole load of complexities in the logic as well.
Yeah, that could potentially be a thing. So if I understand you correctly, we would basically remove this upload limit and you could upload as many things as you wanted. But then when you came back here, basically it would select all the things, everything else would be grayed out. And you'd probably have some text up here that says you can only insert a maximum of 3 things, so you have to deselect a few.
Yeah, and then it should helpfully tell you, because this could be like a field that accepts, I don't know, 40 files.
Yeah.
You select 3 too many, deselect 3, a helpful.
Yeah.
Not like this field accepts 40, you've uploaded more than 40 or whatever. Like that's less helpful.
Like something better than that.
Yeah.
I like that idea, but there is a wrinkle there too. So here, let me throw another thing at you, and select 3 things and upload another. And the problem here is that it is possible to go directly to the insert step. Just skip going back to the media library. Slot bucket. If I do this, then it's supposed to insert all the things, but it didn't do it because we tried to select too many things. So there's a hidden validation error there. And it's possible to, that's the thing, it's possible to do that.
Yeah.
And that was the thing that was very specifically requested during the 8.7 cycle. So we can't remove that functionality.
Can we just preemptive that? So if it knows that, like, say you upload 1 more that way and you try to select, like, it knows that you've already uploaded too many, so it just warns
so it doesn't give you that option.
Yeah. Or it doesn't remove the button, but it warns you and disables it. So essentially what we need is something that says anytime you do an action that involves adding something to the media library, we need a validation stage in the UI that checks how many are already selected, how many may be selected because of this action, and disables any possible insert buttons with some nice warning message. I think is what we need to cover all use cases.
That makes sense to me. Anybody else have comments on that? Or have we reached the world's fastest UX consensus? Because that would be some kind of record.
I like Aaron's suggestion.
Me too.
You know what it is? It's this can of iron brew I'm drinking. It's making my brain go super sweet today.
That was the world's fastest UX consensus. So, okay, I'll summarize that in the issue, and hopefully I can get, I'm pretty sure I can get somebody to fix it. Somebody, Sean B. So yeah, thank you for your input on that. I appreciate it.
All right, and we still have time. Is anything else?
Is everybody sure they don't have any bike sheddy nitpicks about that? Because that was disturbingly easy. It's never that easy in the UX call. This is a crucible of pain.
We need a mock-up on a paper for that.
Yeah, Sean's better at that than me. Ask him. Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much, everybody, and I'll summarize that.
Thank you too.
So is that it? Did we do everything ahead of schedule?
I think we did. That's unbelievable.
Ran out of topics. That's unprecedented.
I think Tim had something, but he's not able to join. So about the messaging.
Oh yes. It's in Slack. So it is 2940739. Let's see if I can share my screen again. There we go. So I did not look at this before the meeting, but it's project messaging channel in core initiative. What exactly?
So I know we looked at this like some weeks ago. Did something change?
I don't think they presented the mock-ups on the UX call.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, there was some in the issue. I remember I've been following this one. There's some there's those options, but there's also some screenshots that had been suggested, or mock-ups rather.
Yeah, there's a Figma with mock-ups. That one, yeah.
So as the issue summary was updated, so perhaps there are this is I think the same link.
I love the amount of tabs you have open right now. It's just all those Drupal logos.
It is not a symptom of ADHD, thank you. Thank you for asking. So I don't see where the message is supposed to be.
Oh, it's the button, the alert button.
Yeah, so there's an alerts thing on the top right in the toolbar.
Yeah, mainly you have to click on the next, on the key. You just go like next page or something like that, and it will behave like a prototype. Just on the key, just go like if you were moving to the right key.
The right arrow.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. So now you have a red dot on the alerts.
Oh, up here. I see.
Do you have
Let's
it?
see if I go back and go away.
Yep. So they apparently used Clara
awesome.
to design this.
I'm sorry, they used what to design it?
So they used Clara to design this apparently.
Okay.
Yeah. We gave them the Figma account, so they probably cloned that, and they are working on the above that, because probably it's going to land after Drupal, after Claro, I hope lands into core.
I have to jump out of the call because I want to beat the traffic. But thank you everybody for your help with the media thing. This is really, really useful. And thank you, Benji, for the field thing, because it looks great.
Thank you.
Yeah, it
Thanks.
is.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Have fun with traffic. Oh, he just missed it. If he heard part of that, he's going to be like, oh, what did Aaron say?
I don't know what this screenshot is supposed to be representing. It seems to have the pointer at 2 places at once. Maybe that's just...
The 2 possibilities of how you can mark stuff read and unread, apparently.
Yeah, just to showcase. So the question, the 2 options that Anna is saying on the comment is that option 1, once you click on an alert, it will take you to an external detail page in a new browser window where that alert is leaving, probably Drupal.org. And option 2 will be once you click on that alert, it will take you to an alert detail page in the application itself. And a link to probably Drupal.org or something like that.
I remember reading this, and I remember clicking the back button because after about 5 minutes, I still couldn't decide which one I preferred. So I thought I'll come back to it later, but I'm still unsure as to what option I prefer.
So yeah, exactly. The comment that is just after hers it's making a really important point, is that we should try to avoid looking as spam, definitely. But I'm not really sure is which one of those.
Yeah, I think we made, remember the last time we looked at this, we made some good suggestions around how to avoid it becoming too spam filled, I guess you could say. Or, for a lack of a better word, too non-relevant to the users, because we did discuss the whole things around stuff that is relevant for particular geographic areas or local Drupal camps, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't know if the examples are relevant enough, though, even. But I guess it highly depends on the people. Yeah, because we went. So that there's also the question of who is this going to be shown to?
Yeah.
Because most Drupal site admins who are administering a Drupal site, they don't care about Heather being the DA, the new head of the DA. They are like, whatever, let me edit my content. So I mean yeah.
So presumably there's a permission attached to it. I suppose it's possible that we would show different alerts to different users depending on something like user role, but I'm not sure we want to go down that road.
Yeah, I think it's already seems to be complicated with all of these, like mark as read and unread and all of that stuff. And I see there's a need to somehow figure out if there's new alerts that you haven't yet read.
But if it has a permission attached to that, in theory, whoever is building the website will give to the appropriate users the appropriate permissions to actually see that. So I'm not sure if it's our responsibility to figure that out. I mean, there are so many situations. I don't know. What it's our responsibility is the default settings for this. So our responsibility will be not showing that by default to everybody, probably.
Yeah, so like the default admin role is the only one it has enabled, I guess, is what we're getting at. But I think fundamentally, the reason that I'm excited about this idea is because being involved in my local Drupal community here in Scotland, I see this as a great opportunity to raise more awareness among Drupal administrators and site builders who maybe aren't aware of those local communities, because it's not easy just to go on to Drupal and download Drupal, but also find out about your local community or the community on Drupal.org. It's easier to find out about what the community on Drupal.org because you're going to be searching around for things as a Drupal site builder. You're going to come across the community, but it's not as easy to find your local Drupal communities, like your local Drupal association. And I think there's a real benefit for groups like ours in Scotland, where we're trying to grow it, but this could really help. If it had the ability to target, not target, but to curate alerts based on what the site's default region is, for example, I think there's a real potential there in community building, community development.
Yeah, I guess it would be more so a decision to make, like a follow-up, or like when everything is going to be defined, like the rules to actually define what it should be shown there. But I guess right now it's more like a proof of concept and general patterns. And I would say if we have to choose right now between option 1 and option 2, I would say option 2, because you're staying on the same page and you don't perceive that as much as a spam. So I would agree with the current comment there. And
Yeah,
about all the, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I cut you off there, so.
No, just was going to say that all the other things, I guess, it will depend more on what's coming on the future.
Yeah, I think thinking about it, option 2 is probably better, because I'm assuming there's going to be a page anyway where, like, there's going to be some kind of page somewhere, maybe in under reports or something, like the status report page. I think we previously discussed something like that, where it displays all of them, because if the way this is designed, if it's to only show unread things, you presumably want to then be able to see all the things. Maybe I'm misinterpreting that.
What do you mean? All the things.
You know how when so is everybody here familiar with Trello?
Yeah,
I am.
Yeah, so on Trello, you have a very similar thing where if you get a notification, it comes into a notification list, but then there's a little circle to mark it as read, and then it disappears from that list, and you have to, I don't think you go to a separate page, but you can toggle a button to see all the notifications. So maybe there's something there. Maybe there's a third option in that it doesn't have to go to a separate page, but there's like a toggle to show read notifications. I'm assuming that the default is it'll show unread notifications only. I also think it might help if we had a bit more ideas around what sort of a details page might look like, because without knowing what this details or this page that contains details or additional information might look like, it's hard to say how useful that page is going to be to anybody.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, right now I'm thinking option 1. Actually, for me right now feels more like the option on a link where you actually force the blank tab or page, which actually about a dark pattern. Like it should always be avoided to decide for the user if the browser needs to open a new tab or not.
Right, that's what I was thinking too. I also do not like that aspect of option 1.
Yeah, I agree that option 2 makes the most sense. And then also we need a listing page of your alerts, and then we need a detailed page of your site.
What is the reading the text, it says option 1, it says would take you to an external details page, whereas option 2 says it would take you to an alert details page displaying within the application itself. I think we need to see mock-ups of what those are supposed to mean, because I'm struggling to understand what the context of that is. Like, is the external one hosted on Drupal.org? Is it still within the same site? Like, is it external to the site, or is it external to this particular feature? Like, what is the context here? I think we need.
I think it's outside the current Drupal site, wherever you can get more information on the alert.
Yeah, he also understood it that way. Yeah, that would be an external link, basically.
Yeah.
So Drupal
Yeah,
8.7 would presumably take you to the release notes for Drupal 8.7, and this would take you to a blog page on Drupal.org from the Drupal Association.
Here's another, just while I've been looking at this, and this keeps playing on my mind, where I'm okay with how it opens up in a nice Claro styled drop down menu. Is that? I'm going with menu, but we have the off canvas tray, and I something in my head is saying we should be utilizing what's already there before we. So I feel like personally, I'm kind of leaning towards suggesting that we use the off canvas tray for this.
That's not crazy.
Thank you. That's what I strive to be, is not crazy.
No, I mean, now that you say that, it makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
I haven't thought that, but maybe they had. I don't know.
Is Claro styling the off canvas tray at all, or is it not touching?
It will at some point, at some undefined point in the future.
Yeah, that's yeah. It would be also very Mac-like, like you click on your alerts and it would swoop in from the side.
I also kind of think it's less to maintain, because I'm assuming this drop down there isn't there isn't code already in core, or
Not at all.
so if we use the existing off canvas tray, then automatically it reduces the amount of new code and it introduces, and therefore less code to maintain and worry about, because if you use the off canvas tray, that's already maintained and worried about.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Totally.
Okay, I can write down the feedback that we've been saying into the issue if you want.
That would be great.
Okay.
Perfect. So I guess that took all of our time and we reviewed all issues suggested.
Yeah, 1 minute before.
Aaron won the day with great suggestions. Congrats.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
make sure to buy more Iron Brew.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Have a nice week, everyone.
Thanks,
Same
everyone.
for you.
Okay.
Bye.
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 Goodbye.